Yes, family. Greetings in the name of His and Her Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, Empress Rosea Menin. Yes, family. One perfect balance. Yes, welcome again to another magnificent, wonderful Wednesday episode of Politically Incorrect, where we get it correct. And if we're not correct, y'all already know, just call and set the record straight. Tonight is an interesting night for a number of reasons. We have a brother coming all the way from Bahamas to share with us, and it's a family affair. We're having a conversation, and I'm telling you, it's been a long time coming. But here we are tonight. And so go tell a friend, we're going to discuss this thing. And the question was, who owns the crown that owns the land? Who owns the crown that owns the land? We're dealing with this thing called crown land, or what is now called in Barbados state-owned land, which is funny because unless you have become a republic in any of the colonies, is considered to be the land owned by the crown. Technically, we're going to look into that. And also we're going to look at some other stuff as it pertains to where do we go as a people going forward, especially in 2022, considering how things are going, looking at how things have been going, and finding some solution to some of these clear issues that we are faced with. So tonight you're going to need a pencil, paper for sure, or unless you got one of them smartphones with a little notepad to keep it on handy, you're going to have to take some notes. So in the meantime, go tell a friend that we on live. Let some folks come on in, both on YouTube as well as Facebook. Go tell a friend. I ain't got to tell you all. It's one of them nights where, yes, you got to subscribe, click the bell, go share it, and keep sharing it. This is too pertinent of information to keep to yourself. Pertinent information getting shared here tonight. So it's relative to what's going on now. So definitely go tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm going to drop a quick tune, as you already know. Well, the tune for the night is fitting, so I wasn't going to tell you which tune I'm going to pull tonight. I mean, if you know me already, you would know. Wonder who could guess that tune. And if you're coming on tonight, in the comments, do me a favor. Let me know where you're from as well. State where you're from. If you're logging in from over and yonder, let it be known. But definitely big up to the family, as always, here in the Caribbean, Barbados, Stolen Africa. I see you. Patrice, I see you as well. Definitely give thanks. Sonia, I see you in the building. Andrea, I see you as well. Shout out to Black Lion Security and all the affiliates at home and abroad. Y'all know who you are. Good things happening, works being done. Calls coming in from all over now is interesting. I see TNT in the building. All right, TNT, go tell a friend to tell a friend. This applies to Trinidad as well because it says republic, but who owns the land really? We're going to discuss this tonight in detail and get to the heart of some of this matter because it's really just mind over matter. So go tell a friend to tell a friend while I share this particular tune right here. Y'all should already know, man. You should already know, man. You should already know the tune, family. Tell a friend, man. Tell a friend, family.
Time is catching up on you.
Yes.
Oh, slave driver. I know you sins them on. So carry we go home. I bring the brown east.
Yes, family.
Come on, a Rasta man. A Rasta no live on no captured land. Oh, you mean?
Captured land, family.
Carry we go home. Oh, you mean? As if we settle and cease. Well, come on, a Rasta man. A Rasta no live on no captured land.
Talk about it.
Lord America a capital and the whole of Jamaica a capital and a long time them want drink the Rasta.
Long time.
Like them no know say that man a real African. You think me no member King Ferdinand and thief in Columbus have a golden plan. They make a wrong turn and end up in Caribbean. One Rasta no side kill no Indian.
Yes.
Paradise in a plantation.
In a plantation.
One ship load the African. Now here comes the thief in Queen queen from England. No she come well and envy mother.
Captured land, family.
For century full of separation, and after 400 years, me say no reparation.
No reparation.
If you kill me with the taxation, but I beg you please take me to the motherland. I beg you carry me go home. I bring me from the east.
Don't want the captured land, family. You want restoration of the property that they took from the people, man.
Carry me go home.
Restoration time, family. Who owns the crown that owns the land?
Watch them pan it up at the hill.
Yes, tell a friend to tell a friend, family.
So we properly feel because downtown of
politically incorrect. Live and direct.
Come make we start a new chapter.
Start a new chapter, family.
Keep on the land where them capture.
New chapter, family.
We coffee all to Rasta. I saw go telly and screw plus factor. Say, carry we go.
Restoration time, family.
I bring we run a eat.
Restoration time.
Come on, Rasta.
The many we are one people. One Caribbean. One Caribbean. One Caribbean.
Carry we go home. After we settle and peace way, yeah, man, I rock the man. I'm in a lip on a capture, lip on a capture, follow me now. Pray that every garden a capture, and me tell you short to say that a capture, and Los Angeles that a capture, and New York City that a capture.
Stolen property, family.
Some of the place where you want to live sweet.
Cannot legally sell.
In the land there's no title.
Stolen property.
Some of these places where you want to live nice. I keep them teeth it in the name.
All stolen property, family.
Spanish town that a capital. The whole of Kingston that a capital. Remember Portland that a capital.
Joining us tonight, a brother from Bahamas.
Trinidad that a capital.
A general by any other name.
That a capital. Tell them Bermuda that a capital.
Voice of the voiceless.
That a capital. And another Cuba said that a capital.
Tell a friend, family. Tell a friend, family. Y'all already know, family. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I hear searching my own page as always. I can't even find my own post. This is crazy. Yes, family, welcome again. Y'all already know politically incorrect, live and direct. Okay, got you. I see it now. Got it now. Let me just, I got to tell a friend too. There's like 2 more people I got to send this to as well. So here we are, family. This is long overdue and expected since, when was it, Friday? But join us tonight for the first time on Politically Incorrect. Is a brother, like I said. And I mean, I suppose so much can be said, but as always, we encourage people here to come and speak their truth. So you hear it straight, direct from people, as always. And as a leader, he would know that you don't choose to be a leader. The people choose you, and they choose you based on the works that you do. And I've seen this brother put in work for quite a while. When I first came across it, I was kind of like, wow, I didn't know that Bahamas had this kind of thing going on. I didn't know that at all. But things were happening and work was being done and work was being put in. And so what can you say? Nevertheless, he's been doing a lot of work in his communities, in the country, the island of Bahamas, the islands throughout the Bahamas. And so with us tonight, without any delay, we're going to get right into it so we could actually have this conversation and get the meat from it. So before I get into all the other social issues happening recently within the laws or the parliament, which most of y'all would have heard about, not even going to touch that right now. We're going to deal with the real issues, the land. Why they don't give a bill to restore the order where people here can have something of their own. So join us tonight for the very first time is a brother that I am honored to be able to sit with. I'm going to learn tonight. I got my pen and paper as well. Make sure you get a pen and paper because we're going to be taking notes. So again, join us for the first time is the brother from Bahamas. In about, let's see here. Let me see how long I'm going to take. Where is it? Okay, here. It's going to take about, what is it? How many seconds? It said 7 seconds. Be right back. Yes, greetings, 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 my brother Lincoln Beam, all the way from Bahamas. Welcome to Politically Incorrect. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to Barbados and every other nation that is watching this. And thank you for having me.
Yes, yes, you're welcome. I mean, it's an honor, personally speaking. When we had spoke last week, you were telling me about you actually spent time in Barbados. I thought to myself, well, what a coincidence. Like, how was the odds of that happening? Give us a little about your story in terms of where you were and where you at and where you going.
Oh my God, we'll need a much longer show than this for me to talk a lot about my story. I've lived 10 lifetimes in one. And so I can basically say that I'm a Bahamian and I
Mm.
love being a Bahamian. And I think, I mean, sorry to say this to you, but I think I live in the greatest country in the world. And
Me
that's
too.
just my feeling. But Barbados is the only other place I've went to that I felt like I was at home.
Mm.
It is so much like Nassau in the Bahamas. It's the same size, the same
Wow.
similar population. It is so much the same, and I can say that I noticed when I was in Barbados a lot because that was the first place internationally that I expanded to do business
Hmm.
outside of Nassau and China. Well, the Bahamas and China, and that was the first place I expanded and to go into business, and I loved it there. I loved it in Barbados, but I also noticed that the people, just like in the Bahamas, the people weren't empowered.
Mm.
And so to give you a little bit of my background, I started out as a police officer. That was my first real job. I did it for a few years and I realized that I was more than a police officer and I wanted freedom and I wanted to be empowered as a person. And it was actually a white millionaire that I met while working on Paradise Island as a police officer who inspired me that, listen, you can be more. You can be whatever you want to be.
Mm.
You don't have to just settle for a job. People can be working for you. And he
Mm.
opened my eyes and he changed my thinking that we need to emancipate our thinking because in all of our societies, they teach us to go to school to get a good education so you can get a good job and so you can work for someone, qualify to work for another man. And it was actually a white man who freed my mind and caused me to think that no, 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 no. Let people bring the papers to you. Let them come and qualify to work for you. And that
Mm.
transformed my life when I left the police force and I went to Florida to study computer science and business,
Mm.
and I went into business. I jumped right in, and life was good, and so I was blessed, and business was very good. I went into many different businesses, and one of them in particular, I expanded into the shoes and clothing business into Barbados. I had a really good time doing that. But getting there, I noticed that the people were so educated in
Mm.
Barbados. It's
Mm.
like education was not an issue. It's like everyone was so qualified and educated in
Mm.
Barbados. And so the hardest part was not finding qualified people to work for you. The hardest part was choosing from the qualified people to
Right.
work for you. And so, but I noticed that everyone was trying to get a job. No one was really trying to go into business. That wasn't the mindset of the people there also. And that was shocking. And I started to realize as I expanded all around the Caribbean that this was the mindset of all of our people, that
Mm.
we were still in slavery, but a slavery that was worse than the previous slavery. And I know that's a strange statement, but I guess we'll get into that later. But that
Yes.
is what I started to notice. So I started to do things to empower people. I started to take business people to China to get them, to hook them up with manufacturers so they could do their own business. I started to be an angel investor and invest in people opening their businesses.
Mm.
I started to have business boot camps to educate and train people in doing business, and so that's what I spent my life doing. You asked about me. I also for some time was a singer in the entertainment industry. And it was shocking to me that when I came to Barbados to open my business, and as I was participating with interviewing people in
Right.
Barbados, that people are recognizing me from on TV in Barbados, and it was just amazing because I wasn't from Barbados, so it was very interesting. So basically, in a nutshell, that is who I am. I became an activist about 20, just over 20 years ago, fighting for the common man because I feel like the system was always fighting against people. And I always had this, I could never see people being bullied or taken advantage of and do nothing. I always had this thing to fight bullies. I was always known as a bully killer. I wasn't a troublemaker, but if I see a bully taking advantage of someone, I will always fight for them. And that came into my real life and into my activism. And so I would always fight against the powerful people, the oligarchs. I would always fight against the corrupt governments for people, not for causes, but for people who are in situations. And that's what I've come to be known for. And that's what I'm really good at. I think I was born for that.
Well, I like what you said just now about what you noticed in Barbados, and you compared the two islands. What I did notice though, and perhaps this particular silk flag doesn't highlight it, our colors are the same: the blue, yellow, and the black.
Yes.
Quite interesting. And the Bahamas, I mean, Barbados is quite you maybe you're onto something that I didn't even consider before, and maybe there is a relation between the two. Nevertheless,
Yeah,
so
our histories are very the same. They're very much the
wow,
same.
wow. I think that's interesting too when you mentioned that you were conducting business boot camps again, trying to find ways to empower the people, because that's what it's really all about.
Yeah.
Giving people information that they would not or had not had before, in order for them to make better or more informed decisions, as opposed to just settling for the job. And there's nothing
Yes.
wrong with a job if that's what you personally desire. But if you have ambitions that you said and you had ideas and someone came and inspired you, well, what someone did for you is what, in essence, it sounds like you're doing for others.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we should do. All of us should do that. We could empower each other, one person at a time. If
Mhm,
we if we all do our little small part, we can transform all of our communities.
mhm. And that's just it. I like how you said it. It transforming communities, because that is what we do here in Politically Incorrect. We have Politically Incorrect family. This has grown beyond this, and it goes beyond this. And there's so many different things we're involved in. I see Phil just came on. Shalom, shalom to you too, my brother. And so, and everybody else that's here are committed. This started as a joke. Really, I keep telling people this story with the old cell phone, two clothespins on top of the ironing board during COVID, just to make fun of the government. But it has taken on its own nature, where we get calls, people having challenges, and there are different agencies, whether medical, financial, or even security, that we get to deploy to assist people in the communities with their various challenges that the government is too busy to notice. And so, in essence, it's almost have become like a de facto government in a sense. So we start dealing with governance and governing. And one of the things we have, as I won't say a challenge, but that we've been questioning, I've been saying a lot, this thing called Crown Land. Because you may know that we became a republic recently. What you might
Mhm.
not know is that that's just an illusion, because there's some
Mhm.
prerequisites that going before you become a republic, and Barbados had none of them. Despite
Yeah.
they claim that it was on the table for a while before we talked about it, we still don't have a constitution. If nothing else, that puts us in a very precarious position, because we're trying to operate on the old rule on the guise of a new rule while we're working on newer rules. It's just one
Yeah.
big complete mess. But say that to say this, so we go from this thing called Crown Land. And the reason why I'm going straight for the juggler is because I think people need to understand that we have been manipulated, hoodwinked, and bamboozled for such a long time. It's as if we expect and accept to be continually shortchanged, and therefore should have no ambition to be anything other than just a servant. What's going on in Bahamas regarding Crown Land? Let me use it that way, and then we'll bring it to Barbados.
Well, first of all, I will tell you this, that the most valuable asset in the world is land. Land is the most valuable resource. Some people say people, but I don't consider people a resource.
Mhm,
I think land is the most valuable resource because it has all of the resources in it.
mhm,
Everything is in land. If you
mhm.
want to do business, you need a piece of land to do it on. If you want to live, you need to live on a piece of land. Even the ocean is on land.
True.
Land is the most important thing you can have, and that is why people who want power, they first get land. All of
Mhm,
the wars and expansion of empires, they were over land so that
mhm.
they could get more resources that are in the land. For people who read and believe in the Bible, the first thing they talk about in the Garden of Eden, the first thing that man got was land. That's the first thing that man got.
True.
And and they talk about what was in the land. They talk about that it had these trees and the rivers, and it said the gold, and it said it was the good gold. And so it was about the land and the resources in the land. When they went into the promised land, of course, they told them what was in the land of milk and honey. So it's always, whenever the Most High wants to empower people, he empowers them first by giving them land. And so if you want to empower people, you need to start by giving them access to land. And you should not call yourself a citizen of the country unless you have access to land. And so this is very important. So here in the Bahamas, we have a serious conundrum, and that is that we have this thing called crown land. And for some people from some nations, they don't know what that is.
Right.
That is land that different independent nations inherited from the crown. And so when the crown left them to be independent, which only means that you pay your own bills. It doesn't mean that they're still not sovereign over you, because independence was probably the biggest sham in world history, because they're still your sovereign head of state, but you just have to pay your own bills. When they left you to pay your own bills, they said, okay, we're going to leave that land to you. You're going to inherit this land. And I did a TikTok recently that went viral where I explained that was kind of a reparations for all that they benefited from us. And so we have this thing called crown land that the crown has left. We are supposed to benefit from that. By definition, crown land is for the benefit of the people. And so maybe England couldn't pay back in cash reparations, because that would, of course, end them as a country and bankrupt them. But maybe they couldn't pay back in cash. But what they did was they left the land to us. And so maybe it isn't full reparations, but it's something. And so we get the land, but our leaders, our people who should have been glad to empower us with our land, it seems like our leaders, particularly our Black leaders, when they finally took over and got majority rule, it seems like our Black leaders were the ones holding it back from us, keeping it from us, because they know the power of it. And so they use it to give their political cronies to empower their people so that they can stay in power. They use it as a tool to keep power instead of giving it to us. True. And so that's what we've been experiencing. We have on record 30,000 Bahamians applied for crown land, and we don't even get an answer. We don't, pastors would get it because they use pastors to preach their political message and spread their message and manipulate the people. So pastors would get it. Certain political cronies would get it. They would make it easy for you. But regular people who can be empowered, they don't give it to you. And so we have another phenomenon. I don't know if you have it in Barbados. I don't remember, but they call it a generational property. And that's the property of the slave masters left for the slaves, every one of their generation, so that they could have land and benefit from the land. So when the slave masters moved out, they said, okay, the land belongs to the slave. You'll keep that. And that's the reparations. But they never told us that. And so in the Bahamas, we have this generational property that's different from crown land, but that you can get if you're a part of a particular family or lineage, but they will never give you deed or title to that land, because giving you deed or title would make it an actual asset that you could benefit from. And they don't want you to have that. You understand? Because now you can get a loan, you could use it as collateral, you can sell some of it and use it to do something. So they don't give you deed or title to it, and that's how they keep us back. So the slave masters did something very bad that they could never pay us back from. They did wrong. But they left land for us, which is a very valuable asset. And our modern day slave masters are not allowing us to have readily access to this land. And this is the problem that we as a people are having all over the Caribbean.
That is the gospel truth. Preach that, my brother. I mean, I've been pushing this for a little while, but I'm glad that someone, they say that a king is never honored in his own land. I'm glad to see that you are fighting this same exact fight in the Bahamas. And I have a document, and I'm going to make this available to anyone who's watching right now. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to put the number up really quick. If you want this document, you're interested in this document, send me a WhatsApp message. I'll go and share the screen really quick, and I'll put this up. And I want you to take a look at this. because it's the document that deals with the act that pertains to Crown land, the disposal, vesting and disposal. So there's a lot of information here that, the minister may purchase, lease, take, accept, or otherwise acquire any land for the use of the crown and such conveyance, lease, contract, and other instruments as may be necessary for the purpose of this subsection may be executed in his name and may be signed by the minister or by the officer, or the time being performing the function, security, secretary, and the cabinet on behalf of the minister. The thing is, a minister has the authority at will to dispose of land based on your application. Now, the brother just said that there are people, he said there are many applications that they made for people to acquire a piece of this land, and they have gone unanswered.
Well, I'll tell you the difference between Barbados and the Bahamas is you have an act that addresses crown land. There is nothing anywhere in our laws where they address crown land. How do you acquire it, et cetera, et cetera. And they left it that way. So it's in the power of the prime minister himself that he can give the crown land to whoever he wants. And they use it to their advantage.
Wow.
And so we have been advocating for them to say, listen, give us an act, give us regulations to say what the process is for acquiring crown land and how you get it or how you refuse. Give us something in writing so that we can get this crown land. But in the Bahamas, they don't want to do that. Now, you guys have something and you are being neglected in your country. But let me tell you what I decided to do, and me and persons who are with me decided to do. We ran an election for the last election. I was running for prime minister and really for president, because once we take over the country, we're gonna go republic, all right, just like Barbados did, but we're gonna do it the proper way. We're gonna have a constitution and that kind of stuff. All right, but once we would have taken over, we would have issued at least 1 acre of crown land to every Bahamian, because the population is small and we have millions of acres of crown land. We have much more land than Barbados has, but we have millions of acres of crown land, and we only have about 200,000 adults. All right. And so it's 400,000 in total, but about 200,000 adults. And so that wouldn't even touch our inventory of crown land.
Right.
And so we feel, why not empower our people with their crown land? We didn't win the election. There was a snap election, et cetera, et cetera. We didn't win the election. So we decided that we were going to go on the crown land and just take it. And so that is what we did. Because the crown land belongs to all of us. And so what we did was we went onto the crown land and we took it. And so we decided to go on the crown land, squat, build houses, and then apply to the government and say, listen, we've applied to you. We're taking this crown land because this is ours. This belongs to us.
That's right.
And so their reaction was panic, ultimate panic, because they know by law the land belongs to all of the people of the Bahamas. And so they can't necessarily kick you off of it. So they started to feel like maybe the floodgates are going to open and everyone is going to just go and take the crown land if they don't do something. And so they panicked and they started to have these big press conference threatening us and saying that they were going to lock us up and we have 14 days to move and all manner of nonsense they were running on with. And when we challenged, we said, okay, 14 days we're going to be locked up. We'll be here waiting. Come for us. We'll be on this land and we'll be waiting for you. Come and touch us on our crown land. And so they sent all kinds of government officials to threaten us. They even came with military, with big armored vehicles and machine guns, hundreds of defense force officers and police and immigration officers and everyone that you can imagine. And we stood up to them. I stood in their faces. There's pictures going around.
I've seen that one. I've seen that.
With me standing in front of all these military officers, and I broke through them. This is our land. Get off our land. And it's simple as that. And so we decided to take it, and we're still on the land. We started that process in January. This is the end of the year. It's December. We're still there, and we're not moving off of our land because this is our reparations. Exactly. And the problem with our people is, especially our Black people, wherever we are, we want to sit down and wait for someone to give us something. No one is going to give you anything.
Nope.
If you want something, you have to take it. And that is why we never truly got freedom. Because no one is going to give you freedom. You have to take it. If someone gives you freedom, they didn't necessarily give you freedom because they can take it back. And I learned this in law school in England, where I studied law, that anything given can be taken away. That freedom given can be taken away. Power given can be taken away. Because if I own something and you're the manager and I give you the permission to do something, I can take that permission away.
That's right.
And so if by act of parliament they gave us independence, by act of parliament they can take it away. And so you have to take your freedom. And so the land is ours. And so we took the land. It's simple as that. And we need to start working together across this Caribbean and empowering one another, empowering our people. Because the problem is that you are going through the same things. If you look at your newspaper and you look at our newspaper, you're going to realize that, hold on, the people in Barbados are going through the same thing that we're going through. And
Same
it's
thing.
only because I span the whole Caribbean doing business and other things, being a public speaker and an author, etc., and traveling, that I realized that, hold on, all of the issues in all of our countries are exactly the same, but they separate us. And so we don't understand what's really going on. And this is where the power lies, in us waking up. And
I agree.
through social media, we can come together and we can strengthen one another and we can take our countries back.
I like that. I like that. And I'm going to show you something really quick. Let me just go back to this page real quick and drop this. This is going to be quite interesting. Check this out. You don't have a document, but we do. And look what
Yes.
this document say: Crown Land Vest and Disposal. Okay, let's go down here to section 5. Disposal of land. The minister may grant a license to use any land vested in the Crown for any purpose or for such purposes as are mentioned in the license, or grant by way of license or letting any easement, profit, or right in respect to such land, or with approval of Parliament, sell, lease, exchange, grant, assign, surrender any such land. Any such land. You mean tell me that I could go to the minister and say, Mr. Minister, I'm having a little trouble here. My eyes rasta now. So my grandmother, who Christian, is like she want me out the house. And so they got a little spot up the hill there with a bunch of wild trees on it. I could plant some food, bring some livestock, and I want to put up a house there. You telling me that I can't get that? I should go and commit crime and look to pay my bills by robbing and stealing?
Wow.
When the law says that the minister has the right to even surrender, whether he grant it, lease, or sell it, whichever according with. If I ain't got the money, you can't sell me anything. I mean, you could grant me the spot, Mr. Minister, but what they do, like you said, they share among their friends the little secret, what they call it, adverse possession. That's what it is called. That's the legal term they use. But guess what? The people, like you said, the people who the land belongs to, they coming for it though. And I saw the one with you and the soldiers with the guns and the whole 9 yards, especially the ones that weren't talking at all.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite interesting. I actually was waiting to see the outcome and how it was handled, so diplomatic, despite the fact that military on the boots on the ground, man. People in camouflage show up with long things, man. Most people would be a bit intimidated by that. Tell us about this book you wrote, and also how does that, play into who you are right now?
Well, I wrote a book. I was inspired to write a book called Identity Crisis. And it's about finding your purpose, because I believe that purpose is the greatest thing in this world. I believe that purpose is life. That I believe that every single thing has a purpose. I believe that every bug, every tree, everything has a purpose. Even the dirt has a purpose. Even water has a purpose. Dirt that isn't alive has a purpose. Even flies and roaches have a purpose. Everything has a purpose. But the only creatures of God that fail to fulfill their purpose is man. And so we're the only ones who get twisted, and that's because we have so much freedom. A bee will never confuse itself to become a fly. He knows what his job is. A fly would never try to become a bee, but only man misses his purpose. And I wrote a book that will kind of guide persons towards finding what your purpose is. And if you go on Amazon and you look for Identity Crisis, Lincoln Bain, persons would see it there, and you would see the reviews. Some people said that the book changed their life, and the book was a really great seller for a very long time around the world. And so I went on a speaking tour with people who wanted me to speak to them and inspire them about finding their purpose. And so that's what it's really about. What was the purpose that we were created for? And so that's really what it is. So you're showing it on the screen now. So it's Identity Crisis. You can see the reviews. There are people I've never met. And so this book is sold in almost every country in the world right now. And so I would advise persons, in Barbados to go and get it. I think you will find it a good read.
Yeah, I was going through it, and I like the idea. Also, the fact that you had the cat and the lion, in terms of how we see ourselves. I think, and I actually put it here tonight. Hopefully, I could touch on it. There was a speech by Earl Barrow, and he said, "What kind of image do you have of yourself?" And this is an excerpt I got from the book called "Speeches by Earl Barrow," and I read this years ago. When I first came across it, it impacted on me so much. And this is probably over. Come to think of it now, at least 15, maybe 20 years ago, I would have read this, not realizing that this speech I would have copied and printed out of a book that was so much of impact on me that I kept. And here it is that you have something very similar in terms of identity crisis, in terms of how do we see ourselves as a people? How do we identify ourselves in this modern day in terms of the changing world? All we keep hearing is slavery, 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 as if all we can ever be is slaves. Although we were only enslaved and we were prisoners, I tell people emancipation brought on slavery because we no longer seem to want to fight. And even in terms of land, and I like what you said earlier, you said in terms of people who are empowered acquire land. Well, the equal opposite is true. If they want to keep you powerless, they keep you from the land.
Yeah.
The truth is that's what's been going on here in Barbados, like you said, throughout the region, even all the way to Bahamas. They keep us, especially Caribbean, and that's why I focus a lot on the Caribbean, not to say North America or the larger countries, but see here in the Caribbean, it is such a psychological trick that we are comfortable with our environment that this thing called Stockholm syndrome is a conversation that we really need to start having more and more and more and more, recognizing that we have accepted nothing in exchange for nothing, and we think we have something.
Yeah, slavery is a choice. And a famous man said that. I've been saying that for a very long time. But Kanye West has now said it, and that people were spooked when he said it. But I'm going to repeat exactly what he said and what I've been saying, that slavery is a choice. Because you can choose to be a slave or choose to be free. But I can tell you that before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And so they have tricked us to become comfortable with our situation. And they have fooled us about our identity, and they make us think we are nothing. Okay. They made us think that our people don't deserve to have anything. So there are some people who are comfortable with that. We started in the Bahamas fighting to benefit from our natural resources. We started to see other countries around the world like Qatar and Dubai and even Norway and these countries, that when they let their people benefit from their natural resources, that these countries go from developing nation to developed nations. They go from third world to first world just by empowering their people. And I decided to study that in depth. And I realized what they did, because when you empower your people, they start to love their nation. They start to have a better nation. If you have a store where you sell your goods, but I don't have money, eventually your store is going to close. And so if you have people who are empowered, then it causes our nation to grow exponentially. And so we in the Bahamas, we are now fighting for our natural resources. And I encourage the people of Barbados and all around the Southern Caribbean to do the exact same thing, because Black people were blessed with the most valuable lands on earth. Look at the continent of Africa and how wealthy it is. But our people don't benefit from it. And it's because they have separated us, and they've made us not understand or to know the value of what we have. And they've separated us by so many different things, and we allow it to happen. In our day, we are separated by politics. We just swing from one party to the next party, while only the politicians and the people who empower their politics, only them are allowed to have anything or be wealthy, while they keep us poor and starving and dependent on them.
Sure.
And so at any point, the people can decide that they're going to be about more than politics, and they can take their country back and put people in place who are going to benefit them. I give you the example of Qatar. Qatar was a country that was poor. People were starving on the streets, literally. They were not educated. They had no health care. They had nothing. And then they discovered oil, and they started to become wealthy, and then they discovered natural gas, and they were very wealthy. But only the royal family was wealthy. And there was one particular son, the mayor, and he said, he said his father, who was the actual mayor, the son said, this isn't right. People are still dying on the streets. People are suffering and starving while we have gold toilet bowls and gold rims on our cars, and we're driving around in fancy vehicles. That isn't right. We can help our people. And the father was like, no, just shut up. This is the way it is. Just leave it this way. And one time they were going on a vacation, a family vacation, and the son said, I don't feel good going away and spending this much money while people are starving in this country. I'm not going. So he said, okay, you stupid boy, you stay here. We're going away. And while the father was away, the son met with the civil servants and started to show them how everyone can benefit from the natural resources. There's only a couple 100,000 people, and everyone can benefit. Everyone can be wealthy. There's not millions of people. And so we can make it so that everyone gets a piece of this pie. And so at first they were like, oh, you're selling dreams. This can't work. No, this is nonsense. You can't empower everyone. Some people don't deserve to have it. They'll squander the money. But eventually, but by the time as the vacation ended, he was able to convince them. And then there was a bloodless coup. And
Wow.
they removed his father. And he took over the country with no experience, nothing special about him, no special education. He took over the country, and all he did was make it so that all the people get benefits from the oil and natural gas, and they have amazing benefits that would blow your mind. And so he made every single citizen a millionaire.
Wow.
Within about a year or so, his father called him in and was thanking him. Thank you for what you did. Thank you for overthrowing me. The oligarchs who are afraid, because they're always afraid, because they're afraid they're going to lose their power. They don't want you
That's
competing
right.
with their big businesses,
That's right.
etc. They were afraid. They came to him because they were even richer. Because as the tide rose, everyone rose at their level.
Right.
So the oligarchs were still extremely rich and even more wealthy because they had more people to
That's right.
to support their businesses. And now they had immigrants who were coming in to help develop the whole entire nation. And so now their population is like 2.7 million, but only about just over 300,000 of those are actual citizens.
Right.
So there's a big population. So that's more money being made. And so everyone has more. And so with this example, it happened because the people decided that they should benefit. And it always takes one person who wants to make a change. And so
Sure.
that's why I said that slavery is a choice. The day that Barbados decides to stand up, they will see a change. The day that the Bahamas decides to stand up, they will see a change.
That's right.
And so we're opening the eyes of the Bahamian people, and we think that change is on the horizon and is about to happen. And so we have natural resources, and so do you in Barbados. You have your natural resources, but you don't
Of course.
benefit from it.
Of course.
And the one thing I loved in Barbados was that no foreigner was allowed to own the beaches. All right.
Oh man, don't even do that. Don't even open that can of worms, because that's not that might be on paper. But
Oh
the reality
wow.
is, up to last week, I think it was last week, there was another
Yes.
issue with beaches again. And what they do is they build these boulders and stuff and kind of make it a bit difficult to go from one side to the other. So you can't walk
Yeah.
the shoreline, and therefore
Yeah.
they have their
And
own little private.
so the people allow them to play the tricks, but
Yeah.
the rules, at least the rules is there. But see, that's why I'm saying that our people are too comfortable. They fool us. They let us not know who we are. They didn't allow us to get educated because they were afraid that we were we were powerful mentally.
That's
You
right.
know, we
That's
were
right.
powerful spiritually, we were powerful physically, but they cause us to not know who we are, and that's the trick of it. You know, the first time that I realized that black people were Jews was actually when I went to Israel. I went to Israel to do business. I had a business partner. We were going there to open a business similar to what I did in Barbados.
Mhm.
And I realized that there was so many black people who were actually Jewish people. And I was like, hold on. They always showed me these light-skinned people who looked Arab or white who were Jews. And I was like, something's wrong here. But there were so many people, just like Haile Selassie, who was
Indeed.
of Jewish heritage, who was Jewish. And
That's
they
right.
never taught us that. We're starting
No,
to teach ourselves it. But in Israel, they know that, and there are black people from
of
certain parts of
course.
Africa who can just go to Israel and get citizenship just like that,
Yep.
just because they are of that lineage. But they never taught us certain things. They always teach us the negative things about ourselves. And this is what we have to change. We have to empower our people. And the first thing that you empower people with is land.
That's right. That's right. I
And
wrote that
so
down.
and so we may say that this, you know, that the so-called Indians, or the Taino Indians, etc., were here before us. Well, the fact is they're not here anymore, and we are here, and we are the persons who should be controlling this land.
Hmm.
The land was left for us by some conquerors.
But
But
hold on. Let me answer your question before you go into that. Let me ask. You said it was left to us by some conquerors.
yeah.
Let's paint a picture here. And Lincoln,
Hmm.
follow me with this for a minute. Okay, so
Hmm.
we are prisoners on a plantation, forced to do
Hmm.
work to produce whatever crop necessary to support the empire up in the north. And
Yes.
some folks decided, for whatever economical reason, that they can't support this thing no more. It becoming a bit costly. Not that they had a moral epiphany. You know what? We really should stop treating people so terrible. They made financial decisions for financial reasons. We're going to emancipate the people, which at that time meant simply transfer property. It had nothing to do with freedom or liberation. It meant that we were not taking responsibility anymore for our stock. We had passed that over to be ruled by a different set of people, in a sense. So we went from being enslaved one day, like you said, to the next day after this thing called emancipation, where now they're saying, you're free, you can go. I'm going to play God's advocate here, Lincoln.
Hmm.
So I imprison you and your whole family on my colony that is owned entirely by me and some colleagues of mine. And we
Hmm.
had you and your family, your cousins, and everybody from your family working all this time on. I was giving you food. Well, what we call food, anyhow. I gave you some torn up jeans, which now is fashion, but anyhow, I gave you a place to stay. So I provided your basic food, clothes, and shelter. I provided all your basics. Then one day, I come and say, well, you know what, Lincoln? I think I'm about to trade businesses. I might go back to Europe and stuff. I'm going to close on the plantation. I'll leave a manager right here. So you're free to go. Bear in mind, everything is owned by me and my cousins, my colleagues. You're free to go, Lincoln. Um, where do you go, Lincoln?
Hmm.
When I say that you're free now and you can go, tell me, please,
Hmm.
what options do you and your family now have?
Well, the concept is not that you're free to go. The concept is now you're free to be, because there's nowhere to go, because you grow up here on this plantation.
Free to
I will
be.
give you an example of some slaves who actually did this, and that's why I say slavery is a choice. Because I would die before I be a slave. There was a plantation in America called the Cameron Plantation,
Yes.
and it is actually owned by black persons. And so what happened was the slave master was not good at business, and so his business wasn't going good. And so the slaves on his plantation approached him and said, listen, master, I know you want to move to Texas. I know business isn't going good. What to do? Sell this plantation to us. And what we'll do is we'll pay you for it. And if
Mhm.
we don't pay you in 5 years, you come and take it back. So you have nothing to lose. But give us 5 years to pay you off, because they had no money. But what they would do is they would work the land, which they knew how to do. So
Mhm.
these slaves worked what they had. They made a deal. It was out of a deal. They made a deal with their master, and he was pretty lazy, and he didn't want to work anyway. So he said, "No, what? I'll give it a try." And he moved west, and he left them, and they paid him off. They paid him off early, and they were able, in the middle of all the slavery that was going on in America, they had a slave plantation that they would allow persons to be free on, but you would pretend to be a slave because they didn't want to rock the boat. But they had a slave plantation that was a very productive plantation. And so then there were hundreds of more plantations just like theirs, owned by blacks. It was hush hush, but it was owned by blacks. And if you do research, you would see that. And there were many of these plantations in the South that was owned by black people. And they would sell and trade and do everything else. And now there's that was the root of some of the wealthiest people in America. So in the midst of all that bad that was happening, there were some people who said, you know what? We're going to find a way out of this. We're not going to see ourselves as slaves. We're going to take this plantation over because we can do this. And so something encouraged them to do it. And so if we could have more people like this, and then the message spreads, where we can empower ourselves and empower each other wherever we are. See, slavery is in your mind, all right? That is where the battlefield is. They enslave your mind. It's like a horse. Once you break a horse, you can take him, and you don't have to tie him to the bar. You know, when you pull up to the OK Corral, you don't have to tie him. You could take the thing and just rest it on there. It's not tied. That horse will go nowhere, because he's broken.
Psychologically.
Slavery is here, and this is the problem. When slaves were actually freed in America, do you know that up until the 1900s, there were still slaves on plantation? They didn't believe that they were free. They didn't get the message, and some got the message and didn't know. So what they did, they had black people that volunteered to go around to the different slave plantations, dressed up fancy like the white man, wearing shoes, because black people weren't allowed to wear shoes, slaves weren't allowed to wear shoes, and riding on horses, because slaves weren't allowed to ride on horses. And they had to send these black people to the plantation to let slaves know that, listen, you are free.
Hey.
You is free. You can leave. And the slaves are like, oh man, this fella's selling dream. Leave and go where? The same question you ask is the question, leave and go where? We don't have no house. Our house is Massa house. Where are we gonna go? We gonna just go in the bushes? What are we gonna do? How are we gonna eat? Massa feeds us. And so a lot of them stayed in that uncomfortable position, and Massa would sit right there and let the black man on the horse talk to his slaves, and he knew that they weren't going to believe him because they were already enslaved here. Right. Wow. And so many of the slaves took long to get off the plantation because of it. And to this day, many of us are still in slavery. And this is a worse slavery than we had before. They promised the American slaves 40 acres and a mule. He never got the 40 acres, nor did they get the mule. That would have transformed their lives.
Yep.
We got our crown land, and they refused to give it to us. Even though it's in writing in Barbados, you don't get it. And they refused to give it to us here. As a people, we have to wake up. We have to know our value, and we have to benefit. I always use a woman as an example of how a black person knew their value. And it was Oprah Winfrey. And a lot of people don't understand why you would say that, oh, she's just some black person who got lucky in this. No, she wasn't. She had some advisors around her who taught her sense, particularly a white man. And she did a show, and the show did good in the first year. And the person advised her, listen, you don't want a salary, don't take a salary. Take a percentage. Tell them you want a percentage. Now that your show is doing so good, you have leverage. Tell them you want a percentage. So she took a percentage, and from her percentage, she became a millionaire. And she then decided to open up her own studio because she was advised, listen, the real money is producing the show. Get a real cut out of this. And so she came back to the owners of the station. She said, listen, I'm going to produce the show. Y'all are just going to make free money. Y'all don't have to worry about all that production stuff. I'm going to produce it, and I'm going to own the show, and y'all just make free money. And they were like, you know what? Deal. And they did that. And guess what? She became a billionaire. Yep. Do you know why? She knew her value. You see, the problem is you have natural resources, you have a tourism industry that you don't own in Barbados. We
Oh
have
man, don't even
logistics
start that.
and we have a tourism industry. If tourism is your number one industry, why
Right.
isn't it that Bajans own it? If tourism is the number one industry in the Bahamas, why does not one Bahamian own a major hotel?
You want me to answer that for you?
Yes, you answer.
Because tourism is modern day slavery.
It's a
If
plantation
if
business.
you don't own a part of it, if all you do is
Yes.
serve, carry, clean up, and that's all you do, or
Yeah.
drive around, then yes, it's modern slavery. If you own the hotel, share the resources, and benefit from the profits for you and your people, then it's a good business to be involved in. But if you don't have a stakeholder in it, then yes, it's slavery. By any other name, it's still the same.
So it's time to honor the legacy of the Cameroon slaves who took over their plantation, and we do the same thing across the region. I am definitely going to make it happen in the Bahamas, where we are going to own our tourism industry. That is something that I am going to do in this country,
Mm,
that we will own our economy. And
mm,
so I inspire you to do the same thing where you're from. There's nothing wrong with owning. And so we have to think more of ourselves. We have to think that we could own and we deserve it.
mm.
And so if we do that, then we're going to transform the world.
Well, before you go, tell me a little bit about the Coalition of Independence.
Well, the Coalition of Independence started as an activist movement. I was an activist for a very long time, for over 2 decades, fighting for people, different causes, etc.
Mm,
And I had kind of slowed down, and I wanted to just take a break and focus on myself. And in the middle of it, I some girls approached me who now wanted to be activists, and they were young ladies, and they wanted me to advise them, and they wanted me to help them. And I said, okay. I said, revolution starts with education. So set up a website, and I'll teach you how to do research and teach you how to investigate, so that you can put information on the website, and you can the people can start to get education. And
mm,
as I started to do the research, I started to see where we've been raped and robbed as a country. I started to see how valuable our natural resources was, where billions and billions of dollars was being made
mm.
yearly from our natural resources, and we were getting nothing as a people for it. And and that was shocking to me. And I saw the crooked deals, and I started to research and find documents that showed prime minister's signatures, and a lot of evil that had happened to the people. And I couldn't sit back anymore, and so we decided to call for commission of inquiries. We decided to pass a bill where we could benefit from our natural resources,
Mm,
and we started to see where the politicians started to fight us down. They started to block us, and we were like, wow, what's going on here? They should be glad that they can empower the people, and the people would love them. The people would love them even more if they empower them, but it did. They started to fight us down, and so
wow,
it came to
wow,
the point where we were having a big rally that they expected thousands of people to come to. And so in order to stop it, the government decided to lock me up on fake charges that morning, kind of like the
wow,
same way they locked up Martin Luther King on the morning of the bus boycott, hoping that would discourage the bus boycott. They
wow.
locked him up on trumped up charges. They did the same thing to me. But it backfired. It caused more people to come out, and it caused more of the word to get out there. And then they had to let me go, and then they dropped the charges, because it was absolute nonsense. And it spurred a movement. But while I was in the cell, a crazy man in the cell with me, literally a crazy man, they shouldn't have had me in the cell with him. He inspired me. He
Mm,
recognized me, he knew me, and he said, "You're the man who's fighting for the people. You're fighting for the natural resources."
mm,
And he inspired me. He said, "You think that these people who are in power are ever going to just give you all power? They're not
mm,
going to do it.
mm.
Y'all are sitting back hoping that they will do the right thing. They will never do it." And so and so that inspired me. I came out of that cell, and I came to where the rally was going on, where thousands of people had gathered. And I
Wow,
told them that we have to be the change. The politicians are fighting us down, and they're not going to do what is right. I said, I'm going to put together 39 candidates, because we have 39 seats, and
okay,
we're going to challenge the government. And so we formed the Coalition of Independence, because they were going to be independent candidates.
right.
And so it's
Oh,
a coalition of independent candidates.
Got
And so
you.
that's why the name sounds strange, coalition and independent, because that's what it was. And so 5 months later, the government threw in the towel and they called a snap election without warning. So many people didn't get a chance to register.
Mhm.
And then there was COVID going on, so a lot of people didn't come out to vote. We had low voter turnout, and we were only 5 months old, but we got our foot wet. And so this next election that is coming up fast,
Nice.
we're going to be ready. We have organized ourselves, and we're getting ready to take this country back and give it to the Bahamian people.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Before you go, we have a thing here where we say we call it a coup, and the coup
Yes.
is basically an acronym as well, and it's Coalition of United People. And
Wow.
and so I like the idea of coalition of independence, and basically it's the same thing. It's an independent set of people who are coming
Yes.
together.
Independent
One,
thinkers.
there
Yeah.
you go, there you go. So the idea is not far fetched. You see, we're on the same frequency, and that goes to show,
Yes.
like you said, what's happening in Bahamas is affecting us in Barbados. What's happening in Barbados? I got family on here from Dominica. By the way, shout out to all the family in Dominica. I know y'all going through your own thing right now as well, but it's all of us. There's St. Lucia's on here, St. Vincent is on here, Trinidad is on here, Jamaica, Haiti. We are
Hmm.
here, and so once we start to connect on that level and start to unify our independent movements, that cool will be a reality. And like you said, it's a
Yeah.
bloodless coup. No one is looking to go and burn down any buildings that we built. No one's going to go and
Hmm.
kidnap any politicians. We don't have to.
Yeah.
Their consciousness will cause them to run. You see, they say only the
Hmm.
wicked flee
Hmm.
when no one pursues. So we're not interested in none of that. We are focused on what we need to do for the people and be that foundation, that solid rock that we need to build our country, our nation on, rather than this solid sand. Because they
Yes.
tell people solid sand is solid until the water comes. It's solid.
That is very
It's
great.
solid. It is solid. You can build on it, but you better pray no water come.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's your mindset. And if anyone didn't hear anything else I said, it's that slavery is a choice and it happens in your mind. And so what shocked me was that I had to come up the hard way in the Bahamas, where they have laws in place to keep us down as a people, and the oligarchs have laws to keep us down. But I got to come to Barbados as a foreign investor, and the red carpet was rolled out, and I saw how easy it was. But my brother, um, I noticed that not many Black people in Barbados thought about even doing business or going into business. I asked persons where the business license center was to get a business license, and
Wow,
almost no one knew. Almost no Black person knew. I had to ask a white person,
wow,
And of course, we hired a lawyer, but that was it was the mindset. So I lived on the Gold Coast, and I don't remember. That's of course you'll know this, but people in Bahamas watching this won't know. That's the road. This in the Bahamas, kind of like our West Bay Street, and I don't remember.
that's called the Platinum Coast now. Just for the
Oh,
record,
you upgraded it.
that it wasn't me. It wasn't me who upgraded it, but it's called the Platinum Coast now. Listen, you would not
Uh-huh.
believe it. You would not believe it. You would.
Wow.
You
And so I
wouldn't.
didn't see many people that looked like me that lived around me,
Mhm,
and that was concerning to me. But I got the red carpet rolled out as a foreign investor coming there to do the things that I was doing.
mhm,
And I really wish, and I brought a Bayesian who I met in the Bahamas back there. When he came to work for me, I said, listen, I'm going to take you to Barbados as an owner. And I
mhm,
took him back and I opened the business and gave him shares in it
mhm.
as an owner. And they couldn't people around him, his family, etc., couldn't believe that this young man was doing something so young. And so, if you change your mindset in Barbados,
Mhm.
you can do much better. You can transform your country. And so, I'm looking forward to come back there and eating some share fat. You probably don't eat share fat, but eating some
No,
share
no, no.
fat
But you can have it. You can have as much as you want. You can have as. We can still. Well, you know what? We could go see the idol shop and get some idol food.
yes,
They got a
yes, yes,
sister that
yes,
cooks some food
yes.
downtown by the post office. Trust when I tell you, you would love it. Completely love it.
Wow.
Completely. Complete.
Chefette, for those who don't know Barbados, Chefette is like the KFC of Barbados.
Yes, it is. I just sent you the other link for YouTube as well because sometimes Facebook gives us a little challenge. Sometimes
Okay,
they'll block the link. You'll try to get on the platform. Folks are telling me that they're not seeing it on Facebook, but there's a
okay,
link for you as well for the YouTube one, which is also up. And so, just for the record, if you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook, and you're having challenges, there's always the YouTube platform. And I don't think we said anything that should cause anybody to do that, but we know who we are working with and who we are working against. So
Yes.
always cognizant that there's ways to shadow ban you so that the word don't get out. And a topic as important as this,
Yeah.
we already know. So make sure you share this with your people. I know a lot of folks
And
come on usually after the fact and connect, but make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. Yeah, brother.
yeah, and we can take questions if you have people there who have questions and they want to ask us something. That's fine with me too.
Yeah, somebody had asked a question earlier. I'm gonna throw this at you, but then again, the question for Barbados also can apply for Bahamas because the reality is we won Caribbean. Someone had asked a question earlier, and I made a note of it. Where was it? Let me see if I can scroll back up here. They were asking about if anybody had ever claimed Crown land before, and you spoke to that, and I have seen you take possession. Give us a little more about that in terms of how y'all actually went about doing that.
Yeah, well, like I said, Crown land, you can possess it. And what happens in the Bahamas is the government would just not give you deed or not give you a lease. And so they would either give you a deed or a lease once you possess the land. So the practice was always when you go to the lands and survey, that's what we call it, the Crown land office. And you tell them, listen, I want Crown land. They say go possess it first because they want to make sure you're really going to do something with it, not just holding the land forever. And you go and you possess it. If they see that you're doing something with it, then the practice is, after that, they can lease it to you or whatever they want to do with it. And so we decided to do it. We decided to just go on the land, possess it, and apply. But we're taking this to another level. What we're doing is not just taking the Crown land, we're taking the entire nation. We are taking this country back. And once we take the country back, we are going to make sure that every single Bahamian gets their Crown land. Now, there is a process for you in Barbados. There's laws that benefit you. And so you need to get your Crown land. Land is important. Look at the price of land in Barbados. Many of your children won't be able to afford land.
Crazy.
Okay, and so the same thing in the Bahamas. Our children won't be able to get loans for these lands. So we have to possess the land that we do have.
Well, I think it's important also, and I think you said it, and I said this earlier. Anyone who's interested in this particular document, like the brother just spoke about, send us a message on WhatsApp, and we can send you the PDF file. Because in spite of the fact that they claim, and I'm speaking here on the correction for all the different attorneys that do watch and do inbox me when I step out of line, if we don't have a constitution and we are utilizing the old constitution in the interim, and the only thing we did was change the word Crown land to state, understand that it is the same thing applies, because what they said was once owned by the Crown, and there's hundreds and thousands of acres in Barbados that they claim belong to the Crown. But guess what? If they're now saying it belongs to the state, well, then the same rules apply. So, like I said, a minister has the ability to grant that to you or surrender it to you or exchange it for whatever or lease it or sell it, depending on the situation, I guess, what you're looking to do. And I suspect that that's what goes on a lot behind the scene. A lot of these ministers might be selling deals, selling land. Like the land with the Chinese, we don't know what really goes on. We assume we know because we see it in the paper, and the paper caption it a certain way to manipulate how you think about it. But we really don't know what goes on. So like I said, if you're interested in this document that deals with the Crown lands and the vesting and disposal, you can send us a WhatsApp. And I'll also send to you, my brother. You could take a look at it from your perspective and see how you could put it, perhaps change legislation to make this thing happen, because we need to be empowered. And like you said, if you want to have power, you need land. And the same thing is, if you keep people away from the land, then you keep them powerless.
Yes. And so I'll give Mia Motley some advice because we're going to do this once we take over our country, and she has a head start because she's already in there. I'll give her some advice. Dubai, when they discovered oil, they realized that there was only a small amount of oil and it wouldn't last very long. They used the value of the oil to get loans. They got loans on the value of their oil, and they started to invest in other things, other businesses. They formed a company or companies, but a particular one called Nakil, where they invested in these tourism buildings and the tallest building and Palm Island and all these different things. And they allowed their people to have shares in it. And so Now, only 1% of their GDP is from oil, but their people are extremely wealthy. They've made all of their people millionaires. And Mia Motley has crown land that she has access to. Well, is now state land,
Mm,
and they can use this land, some of its beachfront property, as collateral, and they
mm,
can, instead of getting loans, look at how much borrowing your country is doing. All of our countries are doing it. It's the same story, and we don't see what this money is going to. Like, you're borrowing billions of dollars for what? Where is this money going? Borrow for something that you can make money from.
I'll
Borrow
drink
for
that.
something. Yes, borrow and build a tourism industry that is owned by Bajans, that you get benefits from. You don't even have to run it. You have management companies. There are Bajans who are experts as
Mm,
hoteliers now,
mm,
and they can actually manage this, or bring management companies in and manage it. And dividends go to the Bajan people from
mm,
the things that they do. This is
mm,
what we're going to do here in the Bahamas, and this is how you can also empower yourselves there. You
mm.
have something of value. Stop borrowing to make, the World Bank and these big countries rich. They're putting the money there for us to borrow, and they're getting the interest from it, and that keeping them rich and keeping our countries poor. We're gonna change the game.
I'm glad you mentioned that because the truth is, a lot of these banks, what we call these world banks and whatnot, the money they supposed to be lending is really all money that they owe us anyhow. They're not really lending
Yeah,
us money. They're giving you back what's rightfully yours. And
yeah,
so one of the other reasons why, unfortunately, and I hate to have to even say this, like doing laundry in the streets, the reason why our prime servant cannot, get a loan against these properties because, and I hate to have to say this really, but I must say it,
mm-hmm,
like in the movie, sorry, like in the with the this, the situation you mentioned about the slaves who worked on the plantation in North
mm-hmm.
America. A lot of plantations in Barbados was owned by black families as well, and a lot
Yes.
of these families passed on their plantations. Other people bought them and whatnot, and a lot of the property here that's private is actually been stolen, mismanaged,
Mhm.
and basically taken off the books. So a lot of
Yes.
properties that they would like to use as collateral, they can't because they don't have
Mm-hmm,
clear cut title deeds. They may have a
mm-hmm,
document that was fabricated by some lawyer to have a fictitious sale by somebody who lives in England who don't know no better, and they sell this land to 4 or 5 different people. But as
mm-hmm,
far as using a bank and using a clear cut title deed that goes back 70 or 100 and somebody years, they don't have those documents. And
mm-hmm.
because they don't have those documents, a lot of the land that they could use as collateral, they can't. That's why in Barbados, we have a credit union that have over $1 billion in assets.
Yep.
Over $1 billion in assets, and the government cannot secure a loan from any financial institution in Barbados. How is that possible? The government of Barbados cannot secure a loan from none of the financial organizations in Barbados. What does that say?
Yeah, yeah. It's we have some fixing to do in all of
Yeah,
our
yeah.
regions.
And that's
We
the
have
thing,
some fixing to do.
and that's the thing. There are people who are willing to step up and say, well, look, if you don't know how to do it, if you can't do it for whatever reason, just step aside. Let
Step aside.
let the coalition of united people do it. Let those who have the ability to do it. Just step out the
Yeah,
way. Let's it's not what's best for you as a party, because that's what the problem is too. Like you said, we've been having this political ping pong between one group and the other group, and the people are politically drunk right now. We
yeah,
need a group of individuals who are focused on one objective, and that is really restoring the nation and helping the people who have been subjugated and oppressed for so long to be empowered, where they become an asset to the nation. And therefore, like you said, the tide is rising, all ships come up. So
yeah,
let's build it, make it a stronger nation so that we can have it as a strength for generations to come and not just
yes,
satisfy a few now and a lot suffer later. You see, so
yeah.
that's where we're going. That's why I love what you guys are doing over there. I see you got a whole team and a lot of women behind you. I noticed that too. You and Easy, and they're
Yeah,
powerful sisters putting in work. So
yeah.
big up to the whole family and in
Hmm.
Bahamas with your team. Someone said they want you to come to Trinidad. I saw that earlier. Uh, Someone said they want you to come to Trinidad. We all have to build this. The coalition of
Yeah,
united people, the coalition of independent. This is what it's about. And once we connect at that level and form our own
yeah,
charters between each other, because you become like the de facto government, dealing with sovereignty. So
yeah.
you don't have to wait to be elected in position that the people you have given you that authority. So
Hmm.
function as a government and work to
Yeah,
suit. So
yeah.
we have things to discuss and some charters to write, perhaps some even treaties. So we have much to discuss. But my brother, give us a parting thought for now, because somebody said you need to come back on here as well. And so it looked like we
Definitely,
going,
anytime.
yeah, we're
We
gonna do this
appreciate
again.
it.
And you can bring
Uh,
some of the family as well. We could discuss how to really put this campaign in motion, so that while you're campaigning over there, we're campaigning over here. We're campaigning in St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Dominica, Trinidad. We all out the region, and we all connected as well, sharing
yeah,
resources, building each other and our strength together as that one Caribbean. And that's a
yeah.
beautiful idea.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of potential in the Caribbean. We just need to transform the minds of people all around the Caribbean. Barbados, Trinidad is right next door. I love Trinidad. They've had people trying to do stuff in Trinidad. They've even had some revolution attempts in Trinidad with Abu Bakr, etc.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and those guys down there. Guyana has found oil, and they now have a sovereign wealth fund that has lots of money in it. I think they just hit $1 billion.
Wow.
But we need to make sure that their people are empowered. And so there's a lot of work to be done in the entire region. We got to get the work done in our Bahamas. And so that's what needs to happen. So my parting thought for all of you is this, that slavery is a choice, and slavery starts, begins, and ends in here. No one is going to empower you. You have to empower yourself. All right. And empowerment comes from internally, and you have to empower yourself. The land belongs to us, and we have to make use of it. It's simple as that. It is the beginning. It is the first thing that you inherit. It is where you start. If you want to open a business, it starts on a piece of land. Anything you want to do is on a piece of land. And
That's right.
so we have to empower our people, and we have to empower ourselves. And so for all of you in the Caribbean, wake up, realize that you are more than just a job. Jobs are for experience, not for life. Never
That's right.
forget that.
That's right.
Jobs are for experience, not for life. You can go on a job, get experience, and learn the business that you're in, see what's going on around you, and get the experience to go and do your own thing. And so empower yourselves, empower your children, and let's empower each other. Thank you for this opportunity, and looking forward to talking to my Trinidad brothers and sisters soon.
I like it. I like it. And again, family, go on Amazon. The book is on Amazon. Identity Crisis: Why the Man in the Mirror Doesn't Look Like You, and What to Do About It. I love it. I love it. I love it. We definitely got to bring support to this. And again, I thank you for taking your time to come and share with us. And this is just the beginning, because like I said, that alliance, those treaties, one Caribbean. I mean, this thing is happening in different places at the same time, perhaps by different
Yes.
names, but it's the same drive, it's the same energy, and that's telling us that there's a divine force behind it. And I thank you all for making it happen. And we're going to take some notes out of your playbook, and we're going to leave a few on the wall for you as well. And we're going to share this information and knowledge, and we will impart it, people, because the lack of knowledge is what destroys us, which means that the empowerment with knowledge will liberate us. My brother, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you for coming and sharing with us, man, for real. It's been an honor and a privilege, man. Yes, my friend, definitely. Always, man. Always, always. The songs you used to sing, though, I ain't gonna put you on the spot and have you singing. But give us one. Give us the name of the song, one of the songs you would have done back in the days in your musical times.
Well, I did quite a bit of songs. Some of them was kind of like reggae, and some was pop. Some was, but we did gospel songs. One of the songs that was famous was called "Brand New World." If you want a brand new world, you gotta have brand new people, and that was the gist of what the song was. And so, if you go on YouTube and look up "Vision," "Brand New World," you'll probably see it on there. And so, it was what I loved. I loved traveling the world, singing, speaking, and doing that kind of stuff. I went into business so that I could afford to do that. And so that's what I did. All right.
Yeah. Well, we thank you again. Like I said, man, much appreciated. It's been an honor. And we look forward to part 2. And we're going to work on those other things we talked about before and get it fine-tuned. We're going forward. We're going forward.
All right.
Thanks again,
Thank
my brother.
you, man.
Peace.
All right.
All right, bro.
See you later.
Yes, family. That's our brother from the Bahamas. The family. Oh, that's our other cousin now from across the water. See the family building from different places. We have different people coming in and building. And it's always the same thing. It's the same mindset, whether it was the brothers from Dominica, the family from Trinidad, the family from St. Lucia. Big up to Kofi, by the way, ADDI, and also the elder in St. Vincent, Yaramin, Bishai, our resident elder with the agriculture experience. I mean, this is what it's about. And if you're going to be planning food to secure the people, you're going to have land, though. We won't hear nothing about no Crown land. We won't hear nothing about no state land. It belongs to us according to the Constitution that you're still using. And like I said, as a matter of fact, let me show folks who may be now coming in to this particular page. If you did not see it before, let me make it abundantly clear real quick. You go back to the top of the page, get it correct. This is chapter 225, Crown land vesting and disposal. That's the thing. Vesting and disposal. You can dispose Crown land, of course. Let's go down here to section 5 real quick. Let's go all the way down here to section 5, man. Bam. We're going too far. Too far? Let me see. Yeah, too far. Definitely too far. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. There we go. Right there, man. Disposal of land. And it makes it very clear that the minister has power to sell, lease, exchange, grant, assign, or surrender any such land. The minister may. Look at here, look. The minister may. So don't let them tell you that they can't help you. These ministers that say they want to be ministers, they say they want to be servants. Yet when you go to them, they claim they can't serve. Look at right there. The minister may. So what I'm saying, family, go for yours, man. Go find yourself a piece of land and claim it. I done tell you all that weeks, months ago. We definitely want to give thanks to the brother for sure. Again, like I said, for bringing his perspective, speaking his truth. This is what we're dealing with, family. So anybody who's interested in receiving a copy of this particular section of the Constitution that they say they're still using, this means that this is still valid. Holler at me and make sure the number's on the screen. Area code 246-838-8253. Send me a WhatsApp, and just say Constitution. You ain't got to get in a long talk unless you want long talk. Constitution. We know what it is. Disposal of land, Crown land. Let me know one of them buzzwords. I would know that's what you're interested in. Simple as that. But like I said, family, tell a friend to tell a friend. This one in programs that you can't keep to yourself. You must tell a friend to tell a friend so that we can get this message to the people, because right now we seem like we're powerless. And the reason why we're powerless because we don't have no land. Very informative. Thanks, man. Shout out to all the family from Bahamas on here as well. Like I said, if you're on Facebook, you're not getting through properly, there's a YouTube link. Check us on YouTube, the same name, Politically In-Correct, for those who may not get it right. And we in here, man. Charlotte Green, give thanks for coming in as well. Brand new world begins with you and me. Change ain't coming. Change is here. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Thanks for coming on the program too, Charlotte. And go tell a friend and tell a friend. Don't keep it to yourself. Somebody just sent me a message here real quick. Give me a second, family, because I do want to touch two things before we slide over here. Here we are. Yeah, I see you. 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 I got it. I got it. You and easy. Okay, you and easy. You don't even wait till I come off. All right, Vice Chair, sorry. You know who you are. You know who you are. I got you covered, man. I got you covered. Anyhow, family, like I said, shout out to all the family abroad. Beverly as well. Wonderful Lincoln. Wonderful indeed. Yeah, look, man, let us uplift each other. Wayne, I see you, Wayne, for sure. Let's uplift each other and make it happen, man. Mona Lisa. She said, that's my president. Oh, man, look at that, man. Look at that. Look at that. That's my president already. Remember to share the PDF. I got you covered. Yes, by the way, I cannot leave out Antigua and our family over there as well. Sister Huggins, Ray Huggins for sure. Big up to the family doing work. Nikita in Atlanta, and also the family in the Bahamas with the ADDI, and also the sister from Haiti as well. Cannot leave out the people that really won the republic through the revolution. Sac passe, Mabule. It's an awesome show. Well, sister, if this is your first time on here, we've been on here for a little while. The family will tell you, man, tell a friend to tell a friend. Politically incorrect is where it's at. This is the platform where this is the news center for the news that you ain't going to hear on the news. This is where you get the information that they're not going to tell you about. Do not miss Friday's program, family. Let me say this now. If you're coming in here for the first time, if you're usual on here, tell a friend, tell a friend. Don't miss the program on Friday. We're on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday at 8 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. But of course, if we don't catch it live, you can always watch it on the replay. That is no problem because a lot of people actually do watch it on the replay. I'd be amazed sometimes when I go and see, like, wow, like it just be humbling, really humbling. And I remember the guy once that he had downloaded videos on his phone. He's walking around watching it on his phone. It's just humbling. But let me say this: Friday night, we have 3 queens coming in on Friday night. Not 1, not 2, but 3. 3, get it right. 3 queens coming in on Friday night. And no, Stolen Africa. Not the 3 queens from Trinidad. This is 3 queens from Barbados coming on Friday. And that Friday program is going to deal with a very serious issue, a very serious topic, especially it's kind of how should I say? I don't want to say a part 2 because it's not a part 2, but it's an expansion on what happened at the rally on Saturday in Independence Square. We have some folks coming in. Like I said, 3 queens. I won't give you the names yet. Look out for that poster, that thumbnail coming out probably by tomorrow. You should see it advertising who they are. But you don't want to miss that because the information they have is, again, information you need. And this affects the whole region. So don't think because it's happening in Barbados, it won't be coming to a community near you sometime soon, because I guarantee you it will. So let's learn from Barbados, because Barbados has always been the testing lab. Because if it works in Barbados, they're going to bring it to your door. Bet that. So let's stop it right here. My grandmother, again, Aunt Rose, big up to Aunt Rose. She always say, nip it in the bud. So we're going to nip this in the bud. And we're going to get it right. Right, family? Natasha, I see you. Special thanks to Mr. BAIN. For sure. Love from Barbados right through all the way. And family, like I said, nothing but kinetic energy. Let me see some hearts up, some thumbs up, some family, some hugs. Kinetic energy, family. Nothing but kinetic energy going out to all the people tuning in tonight. Hope y'all are up, full and joyful and feeling great. Because like I said, this thing with the Crown Land is amazing, man. And we can't sit back on it. We cannot sit back on it. So what kind of image do you have for yourself? See, that was a question that Errol Barrel asked. And it's funny because Mr. BAIN is asking us, identity crisis, why the man in the mirror doesn't look like you and what to do about it. Like I said, go check his book out on Amazon. It's not expensive. There's a Kindle version. And I don't know if there's another one of those ebooks thing, but I'm not sure. But go check it out and support our brother as well. And make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend as well. This kind of information, man, you know, we don't get it like that every day. So I got another tune to play here. A new one. It's a new one. I got a new one. I got a few new ones, but I'm saving those for Friday. I think should I do that? I'm gonna play this one tonight. I gonna switch it up. I'm gonna do this one tonight. Only because, man. To the sister from Virgin Islands. I forgot to mention the Virgin Islands, man. I cannot forget the family in the Virgin. Wait, hold on. Let me switch screen. Never. The battle hotter, but the victory will be sweeter. What seems to be a disappointment is a blessing. One option, I gotta pull this through. They gotta pull it. Jackie tonight, man. I ain't see Jackie. Hold up. Let me pull this tune real quick, family. This tune right now got me wired, man. Listen to the lyrics, family. You can watch the lyrics on the screen. That kind of time, family. Energy. Imagine that. Imagine that. Hold on a second. Let me pause this for a second. Now, I have not seen this program freeze or stick up in such a long time. Like, even that is a shock to me just now. Okay. But energy don't lie. But here's one thing. Can't stop us. Alex, I see you. I see you. I see you. Tell a friend and tell a friend, family.
Cycle of life proceed to flow. We chanting forward, never backward,
Never.
never. The battle hotter, but the victory
Will
will
be
be
sweeter.
sweeter. What seemed to be a disappointment is a blessing. One option closing, another one open. There is a way, wheresoever there is Jah will. One door closing, another one open.
Listen.
According to a man's work, that is always reward is regardless what nobody think, regardless what nobody say, and that is just the way it is. Regardless who want disagree and
Get
get
vexed.
who want give to Jack is jacket.
Envious to covet. We know how low they will go to put another life in a life.
We know
You know how far they would go, man.
how low
All they do
they
is try to
can
stop
go.
them from growing, man.
Below zero shallow.
You know how low they would go,
Slipping and
man.
slithering and sneaking like we've been falling to put back against the wall and provoking progress to stalling.
There's Ray.
Getting long guns and bungle
That's the
trying
whole
to
Virgin
climb.
Islands, man. The whole Virgin Islands. One Caribbean family.
Who shall bless no one cause you can't stop
Jackie.
the flow. No weapon from against us cause we
Shout
can't
out
stop
to
things
Tamara.
now. But
Fire
this
Woman,
country is
man.
gonna be,
Fire
you can't
Space
stop
on
that now.
Thursdays.
We told to send no
Check
bad
the Fire
energy, can't
Space out.
stop
Go check
things
it
now.
out, family.
So who shall bless no one cause you can't stop the flow. No weapon from against us cause we can't stop things now. What this country is gonna be, you can't stop that now. We told to send no bad energy, can't stop things now. Bad intention, bad minded, which
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Never
All
mind, say more
notifications.
fire.
Y'all already know how this
Treading
thing goes.
forward, never backward, never. The battle hotter, but the victory will be sweeter. So Adam, God, man, Adam, creating matter, yeah. Prophecy, your prophet, manifesting, yeah, no matter what. Lies are temporary, truth is forever, no matter what. Let your arise and descend in
Link
this
right
step,
there in
no
the
matter
comments.
what. We know how low they can go
We
to
know.
put another life in limbo.
Shout
We
out to
know.
Midnight as well.
We know how low they can go. Below zero shallow.
Below
You
zero.
shall bless no one cause you can't stop the flow. No weapon from against us cause we can't stop things no.
Shout out to the whole Bahamas and Nassau Islands, man. Shout out to the whole family. One Caribbean family. One
So who shall
Caribbean.
bless no one cause you can't stop the flow. No weapon from against us cause we can't stop things no. What is to be is gonna be, you can't stop that now. You tend to send a bad energy, can't stop things no.
Please, son. Can't stop it, family. They can't stop it. They can't stop it, man. I know there's another tune here, man. Let me just make a find it real quick, man. I ain't even let it go, man. I can drop this tune too. I definitely want to drop this tune too. I know. The question is how you gonna pull it off? How you gonna pull it off, man? How you gonna pull it off, man? There's levels to this thing, man. On my way out, family. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Thanks for joining us tonight. It was your first time. Do come again. You want to hold a session?
I'm feeling so nice today. Said a prayer, now I'm listening. What he has to say, think we connect. It's deeper than you think. Internally me elevate, externally me sink. I think I caught a vibe.
Let me pause this for a second. Pull this for the beginning. This one of them tunes you can't play once. Listen, family, I have an idea. Now, we said it before, and it didn't work out that way, unfortunately. And then we lost our brother Armageddon. Shout out to Armageddon, by the way, who was supposed to be the one to do this. And we haven't had it. So what I would like to do coming up to the end of this what they call a year, if not this week, maybe next week, perhaps next week, the whole so-called Christmas thing. And then just use that loosely. Saturday night, want to do a session, a little vibe, maybe a little 4-hour session, like 9 to maybe 1 o'clock, where we come on Saturday night, man, and just play some tunes. You know how we do, family. You know how we do already. We call it the Dim the Light edition. You know what I mean? We call it the Dim the Light edition. So we're going to dim the lights a little bit, take out some of the glare and just play some tunes, man. Just share positive vibes, man. Just share positive vibes, like for real. Just give thanks, man, like what they call a year. Although we know that we ain't getting to all the idea that we sharing and giving thanks. Wherever we are, we giving thanks. regardless of all the other, issues, man. We're gonna take a minute just to give thanks. A little 4 hour session, maybe from 9 to 1 o'clock Saturday night. Not this week, next week, like I said. I'm thinking if that's a good idea. Let me know in the comments, let us know if that's a good idea. And if you're interested, and we'll put it together and just hold a session and play a lot of the tunes that we would have played before. If we can link with some of the artists as well, so they could come on in as well and do a little live something, that'd be nice. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And our little freestyle, whatever. We'll see. But I just want to do something a little different, man. Just to give thanks for the journey and for being here with us all this time. If you think it's a good idea, like I said, give me some feed forward. Yeah, some hearts and thumbs up. I see you. And, like I said, just to give thanks, family, and just harness that energy, pure positive energy, and purpose, man. The levels to this thing called life, family. Levels. That is the last the first Empress Reserve Menin. One purpose, man. Don't miss it on Friday.
I'm feeling so nice.
Nice.
Today. Said a prayer, now I'm listening. What he has to say, think we connect. It's deeper than you think. Internally me elevate, externally missing.
Yes,
I think
family.
I caught a vibe, another level.
Yes, King.
I the truth, if I lie, me wouldn't tell
Fire.
you. And best believe everything is clear. Me just see the purest from my love and it eradicate the fear and I no joke. Look where he bring come. See him with joy, me beg him peace, him introduce me to wisdom. Tell me hold it down till the king come. Encounters with the almighty real, that's why me a sing songs say levels. Levels, levels, levels. A levels to this thing.
Levels to this
and
thing,
the
man.
higher me go, the clearer me see the king. A levels.
The higher me go, the clearer me see the
levels, levels.
king and the queen.
A levels to this thing.
And
the higher you go, the clearer you see the king. Me go so. Grab me book and me jot down. Penning me I use so 2 twos. Me go so boom and then that down. Keep the words close and mysteries would have shock some sacred codes. Me feel say me crack some. Let's talk about polarity, solidarity. Jah give me clarity. Teach me to love the narrow road, no run back a majority. The minority will awake from slumber and there I shall see. We have no facts, just interpretations of reality. Freed from the concepts we create. Tap in with me maker and me make him navigate. All thoughts assassinate. 3 eyes illuminate.
Yes.
And people furiate. Me cut the grass and slew the snake. Put in the work and use the faith. The illusion of time I make we rush and feel we late. Did I level up, I saw the evil cycle break. Me firm in a Jah, no me no shake. Oh God, look where God name is no longer the debate because of levels, 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 levels.
Go to the Dominican family. I see you, family.
Levels to this team.
Look,
and
man,
the higher me go, the clearer me see the king. A levels,
long overdue, man.
Levels, levels, levels.
Long overdue. I see you, sis.
A levels to this team.
The elder already told me go
and
ahead, so
higher you go, the
no longer.
clearer you see the king. I'm feeling so nice
family.
today. Say that prayer, now I'm listening. What he has to say, think we connect.
I see you,
it's
family.
deeper than you think. Internally me elevate, externally me sink. I think I caught a vibe.
Yeah,
another
level.
level. I the truth, if I lie, me wouldn't tell you. And best believe
love,
everything
family.
is clear. They just see the purest form of love and it eradicate the fear because I level.
Purest form of love, eradicate the fear, man.
Levels. I levels to the sea. And the higher me go, the clearer me see the king.
Yes, right. That day, family.
Levels.
All in favor? Say
Rastafari. And the higher you
just
go,
say I. All in favor, say Rastafari. I got you, family. Levels, family. See y'all on Saturday. See y'all on Friday night, family. 8 o'clock sharp. Don't miss it. Tell a friend and tell a friend, family. Tell a friend and tell a friend, man. I do not want to miss it. I'm telling you, it's gonna be amazing. A real eye opener. Rastafari. Love y'all.